Hi, and welcome to another post on day, I think I'm on 6 of my year of gratitude. I have to say, really taking to the whole theory that my mess is my message. Just gonna lay it out there today. I'm not okay. I've talked a little bit about what's going on with my daughter. She started getting sick. Well, it was around October, November of last year. She just started developing allergies out of nowhere. First, it was peanuts, anaphylactic, had to go to the emergency room, throat closing, lips swelling up like Kylie Jenner. We joke, but I mean, it looks like she got lip injections. And got prescribed an EpiPen, and so needed to use the EpiPen. Well, we avoided peanuts like the plague, but she just kept having reactions. And then she would have started having minor reactions where she would just get like bad tingling and like her tongue swelling, or when she has dairy, she breaks out in this terrible, terrible rash. Just lots of really, really weird symptoms and reactions. And I mean, she was reacting to grapes, apples, watermelon, like basic stuff, rice, which I mean, rice is about as hyperallergenic as you could get, I thought. But it got to the point where all she could eat was kale, like kale. And then the OCD symptoms started. She got real weird where she would avoid all kinds of things and would only eat if we went and bought the kale that day. Would only eat if nobody else was in the room, or if they were on these certain white dishes so she could be sure they were clean. Like, this isn't my kid. This is not her at all. This just like came out of nowhere. And she was an honor roll student. She started avoiding school. So we just kept having like weird symptom after symptom coming on. Then she started with anxiety, and then she started having vision issues where she described it as wearing like dirty sunglasses, where it became blurry, her vision, and everything was really muted. The colors, like, it was just darker. So went to an eye doctor. We've been to several specialists now, and there's nothing wrong with her eyes. So they think there's something wrong with the nerves. They see a little bit of inflammation back there. So we have an appointment with the neuro-ophthalmologist at the end of August, which it's only mid-June right now. And she's been dealing with all of this since March. Well, she's still, when she got the worst, when we finally went to the hospital, she started having these like compulsions where she was just positive the house was going to burn down, or she couldn't leave because I said, we need to go to the doctor and get this checked. And she just started freaking out. She can't leave the house. She can't leave the house. If she does, there's going to be a car accident, or we're all going to be killed. And just really, really bizarre behaviors. And then she started passing out, where she would just be there talking, and then she'd just not be, and then she'd come back again. And her gait got really unsteady, and sometimes she'd have periods where she was talking like she was drunk, just not making sense or saying the same thing over and over again and kind of stumbling around. But she's definitely not drunk. Like, she doesn't, it's COVID. She's not even out with friends. Like, there's no access to alcohol. And it would just last for a short period and then go again. So the day she started passing out and having hallucinations, that was the other thing. She was driving in the car and she's like, look at the rain. It's so many colors. And it was a sunny day. There was no rain. So we took her to the hospital that day, and she got admitted. And they checked for like encephalitis. They checked for meningitis, just different brain diseases, and couldn't find anything. Her EEG was a little weird, but they ran another one the next day and didn't see the same anomaly that they saw the day before. So then they said it was nothing. So after, like, I forget, 5 days, they released her with a follow-up with a neurologist. Well, while they were there, they had done a lumbar puncture on her. Well, the lumbar puncture leaked, and she ended up with a spinal headache. And the spinal headache was so debilitating that she couldn't sit up without throwing up. Oh yeah, she started throwing up too. That was the other thing that was going on before. But it was like intermittent when she would eat certain foods. That was one of the reasons why she was down to just kale, because she wouldn't throw up with kale. Not making herself throw up, because that's part of the issue I'm running into, is these doctors are hearing a teenage kid with anxiety and throwing up and OCD, and they think, oh, well, COVID, she's not handling it well, she's developed bulimia. It's none of these things. I promise you, I'm her mom. I know it's none of that. Like, something happened, an infection or something happened to my kid that just brought all this on. And I don't know. So anyway, spinal headache, terrible. Can't get her to stop throwing up. Can't sit up. Even laying down, it hurts, just not as bad. It was like a 3, whereas when she sits up, it was like a 9. And this is a tough kid. She's really tough. Like, she had gotten her foot stomped on, and lost her toenail in lacrosse, and she ripped it off and went back and kept playing. Like, tough kid. So, for her to be complaining, like, it's bad. I know it's bad. Anyway, so we go back to the ER, and they admit her again, and say, do a bunch of tests, say they think that it's the spinal leak, so they'll do a blood patch. So they go to do a blood patch. Blood patch doesn't work, but this time they hit a nerve. So now she has nerve pain on top of a spinal headache. And that night, this kid was, never seen anything like it. She was literally writhing on her bed in pain, in so much pain. And they're putting in painkillers in her IV. Nothing is touching it. Absolutely nothing. And she's just writhing in pain. She looks up at me like I'm trying to hold her head and trying to, like, help her. And she looks at me and she's like, Mom, just make it stop, please. Can you make it stop? I can't handle it anymore. It broke me. It broke me to see her like that. Because I couldn't make it stop. So, since then, they finally just had to knock her out because they couldn't make the pain stop. And then the next day they gave her some nausea medicine, because every time she would sit up, she would throw up. But laying flat now with the nerve pain, it was excruciating. So she just went from nerve pain to spinal headache pain to nerve pain to spinal headache pain. And at one point she wanted to get up to go to the bathroom, but she couldn't walk anymore. They had to help her to the bathroom, me and the nurse, because she just couldn't walk. The pain was too much. And, every day she would try, and we would get, like, to the, as she got better as we were there, she would get, like, to the door of her room, and then have to go back, and that would be it. Or she would get, like, just outside the hall, and then have to go back. Like, it was just awful. It's been awful to watch her hurt this much and not be able to do anything. Well, I noticed that whenever they gave her this nausea medicine, though, her nerve pain would get better. And I asked the doctor about it, and they're like, no, it doesn't do that. So, of course, because I used to be a scientist, I get on PubMed, and I start researching, and it turns out that the this medication does work for nerve pain. It's not usually used for that, but it can. So she begged me, though, not to be given that medicine a lot because it gave her bad dreams. So they had asked for a different medicine, and I asked a doctor if there was something like related but different we could try. And so that's how we got introduced to hydroxyzine, which has been like our miracle drug. Sorry, somebody's calling me. So anyway, not to get into all of it, but after that, we ended up going to, we finally got her, I won't even say stable, but the doctor said there's nothing else they could do for her. Like, they couldn't figure out what was wrong with the original issue, and they couldn't do anything to fix the spinal headache because they already did a blood patch and screwed it up. So there's nothing more they could do. So they sent us home. So they sent me home with a kid who could neither walk more than 20 feet, nor sit up, nor lay down. Like, said, here you go. So I brought her home and just kept trying different supplements and medicines, and she's still throwing up when she eats anything. She's still very limited on her diet. She still has all these other symptoms. Like, it just has been a very traumatic time for me, and I'm still dealing with my own health on top of this. Well, anyway, long story, really long at this point. We've been to a bunch of specialists since then. We went to neurology, who I thought was going to help. He seemed promising on paper, but then said he didn't see anything that shows inflammation in the brain, which I don't think is accurate at all. Doing my research, I think that she has what's known as PANDAS or PANS. It's I don't remember what it stands for, pediatric something neurological. Basically what happens is you have an infection, and then your immune system goes crazy afterwards, and you develop an autoimmune. Well, the autoimmune, usually, like rheumatoid arthritis, the autoimmune attacks like your joints or whatever. In this case, the autoimmune attacks your brain, the basal ganglia, and causes, guess what? OCD, anxiety, AFRID, AFRID, which stands for some kind of restrictive eating thing where you will only eat certain things, which she had started developing after her diet got so restricted from all the allergies and reactions she had. It causes balance issues. It causes, like, basically almost every issue goes back to this neuro issue. So this is what I think it is. So this doctor that I went to supposedly specializes in autoimmune encephalitis, and he said he didn't think he sees anything. So he sends us on, though, because she has, they sent her blood to the Mayo Clinic, to Cincinnati Children's. She has some issues with different blood subpopulations are deficient. Others are, they were 2 or 3 of them were deficient. But then she has elevated levels showing autoimmune issues and potential connective tissue issues. So then they sent us to a rheumatologist to see if she has something going on with that. Well, our rheumatology appointment was Wednesday. No, today's Wednesday. I'm sorry. Yesterday, Tuesday. And we go in. The PA before was amazing. Listened to the whole story. Was appropriately shocked, I guess, by what we're dealing with. Like, really listened. Then the doctor comes in, asks some questions, bends her joints, and says, oh yeah, look, she is hypermobile, but her elbows don't bend enough. Every other joint did. Every other joint. Knees, toes, fingers, but her elbows didn't. So it can't be that issue. And yes, she has the blood markers for it that go along with it, but they're not elevated enough. They're just barely elevated. So because her elbows aren't bending enough and her levels aren't elevated enough, that's not it. She wants to run more blood tests, but she doesn't know what blood tests to run until she knows which ones have been run. So she needs to get all of the prior doctor records. Shouldn't this have been done before I got there? So now we sit and wait again after waiting for this appointment. So to say I'm frustrated is a freaking understatement. We have been seeing a doctor because I feel like these specialists only look at their specialty and are missing the big picture, because this is affecting so many different systems in her body. I mean, it's affecting her neurologically, it's affecting her vision. She's had hearing issues where her hearing goes in and out. It's affecting her psychological stuff. She has psych issues. She has, body pain, not to mention then the ongoing spinal headaches and nerve pain. And they told us to go away in 2 weeks. It's been 2 months and it's not gone. And, I call about it and they're like, well, it's still within the realm of normal, just outside normal, but it's not concerning yet. At what point does a 15-year-old child in excruciating pain not normal anymore? So, I had asked for somebody to kind of overlook the whole thing. And they sent me to this internal medicine doctor, the neurologist at our second hospital, who I really feel like he actually listened to me. And he got us an appointment with this doctor who, as he describes himself, he's going to be like the quarterback. And I do feel like he's listening. He's very frustrated as well that the neurologist we went to hasn't done more. And so he got us a second neurology appointment and gave us some medicines to try. So we'll see. Now, the interesting thing is she had been on doxycycline for, we got a bunch of ticks, terrible tick bites, and because of my Lyme, I've got a little bit of PTSD dealing with tick bites, so I got them on prophylactic doxycycline. Now, all I could get was 10 days, which anybody who knows anything about Lyme knows that's not enough. You really need 30, but nobody will do that, because I swear, for whatever reason, antibiotics now are harder to get than pain medicine. I can get a narcotic easier than an antibiotic, which is so funny because when my daughter was younger, she had chronic ear infections, and I was constantly not taking the antibiotics against doctor recommendation, because they're like, well, it's an infection, you need to take it. And I was like, no, the research shows that it goes away on its own in 2 to 3 days, and it does. The ironic part about that is probably because of my aversion to antibiotics is why she probably had a strep infection that we missed, and that's what caused the PANDAS, the PANDAS, which is a subset of the PANS, the autoimmune issue, specifically caused by strep. So what I think happened is she actually got PANDAS when she was about 5, because she had a sudden personality change, and ODD, oppositional defiant behaviors, and lots of crazy stuff. But then it all kind of resolved. And so, it was just one of those things. She was a difficult kid. She outgrew it. But now she has all these issues. So I don't wonder if, because I didn't give her antibiotics, that's what led to these issues now, because it set her up and made her susceptible. As a parent, sometimes it's just, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, I was worried about her gut health, so I didn't get them. But anyway, so this brings me to today. She's having these headaches still, and she had asked me if I could please get her contacts, because when we had been to the eye doctor, she had asked for contacts. Insurance only covers glasses for her age. Why, I don't know, but they do. But with a doctor note, they'll cover the contacts. So the doctor had said once we get everything settled, she's happy to write a note so my daughter can get the contacts. Well, being as our next neuroophthalmology appointment isn't until August 31st, and obviously nothing is getting settled anytime soon, because if it was, somebody would have figured it out already. I mean, this has been going on. We started seeing doctors 3.5 months ago, and I mean, the number of blood this kid's given, and nobody's figured it out. Like, it's going to be a minute. So can we please just get the contacts, so at least maybe it quits with some of the headaches? And I called the doctor's office and asked for them, and she was like, well, I don't think the doctor's going to do that. And I said, well, she said she would, so I don't think it's going to be a problem. And she's like, well, I don't know that she will, but I'll ask. So I was like, okay, fine. I mean, I was confident about it because the doctor had said she would. So the woman calls me back and is like, yeah, well, I talked with the doctor and also the doctor's boss, and they discussed it, and they just don't see any reason why your daughter needs contacts. And I said, well, because she's having these headaches and these vision issues, and it helps her. And she was like, well, how does she know contacts helps her more if she's never had contacts? I was like, well, because she got a trial pair and tried them, and she says it helps. Well, with her astigmatism, glasses would help more than contacts anyway, and she doesn't even legally need them for driving. I was like, I understand, but the area around the glasses, for whatever reason, really it irritates her brain. Like or maybe it's the OCD, I don't know, but she can't wear the glasses. Like that little pocket there, her brain can't ignore, and it's causing her a lot of distress. So she's just not wearing anything. So now she has nothing at all, and these headaches. And so I'm just asking for the contacts to try to help alleviate some of her pain. And she was like, well, I'm sorry, the doctor said no. I lost it. I lost it on this poor lady, and I just started yelling at her. I just started yelling at her about how she could, after everything my daughter's been through, all the doctor visits, everything, because I was even like, does the doctor remember her and everything she's dealing with? And she's like, yes, she does. And I was like, how could she, with all these specialists and all the pain and the hospital stays, allow my child to be in pain if all she had to do was write a note? Just write a note and say, sure, let her have contacts. And she won't? Like, why would you do that to a kid? And then, of course, I feel like I'm failing as a parent because I can't even get an eye doctor to write a note she said she would, because it's not resolved yet. And I don't have money to pay the $300 for contacts. So today I am not okay. Then I wrote on my support group, and those people are so wonderful, and they wrote back that I'm not failing her, this medical system's failing her. And I went through this for 10 years with my Lyme. 10 years trying to get help, and everybody told me I was fine. Everybody said they couldn't find anything wrong with me. All my blood numbers were good. For 10 years. Were telling me I need to see a psychiatrist and I'll be fine. You know what? I had been seeing psychiatrists. I had gone to therapists and I wasn't fine. For 10 years, they missed it. They missed that I had Lyme, and it destroyed my life by the time they found it. And I'm not going to let that happen to her, but how do you get help? How do you get help? So, anyway, today I'm not okay. So that is my message. If you're a doctor out there, please just listen to your patients. If they're telling you it's bad, it's bad. I'm not exaggerating in any way. I'm not making it up. Like, they almost look at me like I want something to be wrong with my kid. I don't want something to be wrong. I just want to know what's wrong so I can fix it so she can go back to a normal life. Being sick sucks. It takes everything out of you. It robs you of your ability to just function in life. It robs you of your ability to make a living. Because I haven't been able to work because doctors screwed me up by missing it. And now I don't have the money to help my kid, because if I was rich, I could help her. You know, that's the screwed up part. If I had $20,000, there's specialists who will see her, who will treat her. I could get her IVIG treatment and see if that helps. I don't know if it will. It does some kids, not others, who have symptoms similar to hers. But I can't find out. Because I can't afford the treatment. They're $2,000 per ml. And it's done by weight, so she'll probably need like 6. I don't have that money. It's just not right. And today I'm not okay. So, because I don't want my kids to see me falling apart, I'm in my car in a parking lot. I got some Little Caesars pizza, which I'm not supposed to have gluten, but damn, it makes you feel good when you eat gluten. I swear, it's like a drug. But I'm having a real hard time feeling any kind of gratitude today. Really hard. Oh. But you know what? I'll have my cry tonight and a good night's sleep. And I'll get up tomorrow and I'll fight again. And I'll keep fighting until I figure out how to fix my kid. Because I'm not letting her go through what I did. I'm not letting it be a decade of people saying it's in her head. I know my kid. It's not in her head. I mean, I think it is because I think it's brain inflammation, but it's not convergent disorder or whatever crap they want to try to say. So, anyway, as far as my gratitude for the day, I'm having a hard time bringing myself back to that place, but I'm trying. We did have to get a new roof because of a storm that had gone through, and the guy who's been handling that has been absolutely wonderful. He really handled most everything for me that I haven't had to worry about it. And he's been extremely patient with not being able to get in touch with me because of, I mean, I'm just doing doctors all the time now, or dealing with just trying to get her through the day. Because if she's stable at all, it's because of me. Like when doctors see her as stable, it's because I am on it. I am on regular medication. She has to take all of her meds evenly spaced throughout the day, on time. If she's an hour late, she goes downhill. I'm the one giving her the detoxes. I'm the one making sure she's getting the nutrition she needs, watching the vitamins. Like, she's functional barely because of me. No quality of life. But the reason she can walk in and have a conversation with you is because I am on it, like white on rice. And I don't know, sometimes I feel like maybe I should just let it fall apart so they can see what she's actually like, not the managed her. But anyway, so because that pretty much consumes my days, I've been real hard to get in touch with, and this guy has just done a phenomenal job. So he deserves a big thank you of gratitude. He met with the insurance when they came today, got it all done. So now I just need, we'll get a new roof in 2 weeks. So, like, amazing. I don't have to do it. Anyway, sorry this ran extremely long today, but tomorrow's a new day to fight again. Y'all have a good one.